Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode in the series Conversations with Shelly. For those of you joining me for the first time, welcome. I'm Shelly. Thank you always for stumbling up on this humble little channel. And for those of you who've been here with me for some time, in some shape, way, or form, always being here for the shenanigans, welcome back. Always thanking you and love you loads. Now, today I intend to discuss a topic that has gotten some amount of trend in social media. And while I'm not necessarily going to have too much thought about what is taking place in social media, my intention here is to present to you a different point of view so that for a change your thought process can be pivoted from what is being the trend or the narrative that is being presented and is slashed across so many of our social media platforms daily, hourly, as we go and navigate our day-to-day lives. So what exactly am I talking about? I'm talking about this idea of the soft life. Now, for many of us, we've seen quite a number of posts, and in many instances, we've even stumbled across artists that are talking and singing about the soft life and the soft girl era. And I wanted to, as always, put a different spin and to reframe your thought as to what this may look like. Because in actuality, we need to understand that for many of us, the soft life is maybe 80% of the time something that is far out of reach, right? Especially how it is being presented to us within the social media world. So, as I mentioned, my topic for today is soft life versus survival mode. Is it about luxury or is it about peace? And that is really the crux of the matter. So, as I said, there are persons within social media and people in general that think the soft life is about money, luxury, vacation, and the aesthetics of it all. But for a lot of people, everyday Jamaicans, everyday people, a soft life is simply something meaning safety. And the older you get, the more you realize that soft life really isn't about luxury, it's more about peace, right? And while social media may make the soft life look glamorous because we're talking about the pretty apartments, the spa days, the designer bags, the luxury vacation, the slow mornings, the reality about it is that it is more than just the aesthetics. It is more than just the glamour that comes with it. For many of us, soft life is really about peace. It's about understanding that while you want to achieve a lot of these things, the reality of it is you want to step out of survival mode and you want to achieve the real peace that will bring you serenity. You want to get to that point in time where there's a reduction in your emotional exhaustion. You want to heal without chaos. You want to feel less burnt out. And this is why so many people now are craving this era of calm instead of chaos. So, yes, I understand the need to, you know, live your best life. I get that. And to live your best life, as I said, may not be something that is aesthetically designed or put in a pretty bow for you. It may just mean you simply sitting down and removing the noise of the market, or just realizing that it's not about those things that are considered and tied to money and wealth, but it's sometimes the simple things in life, just resting, just removing the chaos, right? So, as I said, these things they do look nice, but I think people misunderstand what the soft life should really mean. Because for many people, it isn't really about being rich. As I said, it's maybe 20% of persons who see the soft life as a life of luxury and glamour. For most of us, it's about finally not struggling financially and mentally every single day. And the survival mode discussion needs to fit somewhere into that narrative so that persons understand that while you want to live your best life is just should be not trying to always survive life, right? but to enjoy life in its simplest of forms. So sometimes it's about taking away stress, removing anxiety, not always feeling tired, and not always having to be preparing for the next problem. Because there are many of us who have the aesthetically pleasing definition of a soft life, and we are still stressed, we're still anxious, we're still tired, and we're still worried about the next problem. So it is time for us to remove that mindset and to pivot what we understand soft life to be so that we don't continue to feel this mental exhaustion and in many cases also physical exhaustion as well. So even during those moments when you should feel peaceful because you're really not defining a soft life as it should be defined, your mind continues to stay in this mode of panic. And this may be because a lot of us are not addressed a lot of the things that are in our past, right? I mean, a lot of us grow up around instability. A lot of us grow up not realizing that we had to, at some point in time, remove a lot of the toxic relationship and a lot of the financial pressures and heartbreak and constant disappointment that makes us always have to be in this survival mode. And while we may still have the luxury bags, we may still live in the beautiful apartment, because we have not addressed those grassroots things, our lives are not really soft, right? So, after all the struggle and after all the things that you think you have gotten over because you've acquired, you know, the wealth to achieve the soft life that you're talking about, there's still a dangerous part that you've not addressed. And as I said, that may be exactly what is clouding your vision of what the soft life should look like. So for me, the true soft life might look boring to what social media makes it out to be. And maybe we need to redefine what that social media version of soft life looks like. We mean the apartments and the luxury cars and the bags and the jewelry and all of those things. Maybe we need to call that something else. And I'm not opposed to it. As a matter of fact, I welcome having nice things. However, we need to move away from thinking that having these things mean that we're living our best lives. Because let me tell you something. There was a point in my life that I had most of these things. I'm not going to pretend like I had them all. But I did have the ability to travel. I did have the ability to have the nice handbags, the luxury cars, the nice apartments, going out and having all the glamorous things that go along with, this social media definition. Was I truly living my best life? Was I truly living in that era where I felt at peace? Absolutely not. Because I spent most of my time trying to maintain those things, and those things came with pressure. They came with financial constraints. They came with a lot of sleepless nights. And let me just give you a personal example. I grew up not necessarily having a lot of cars or a lot of clothes. So when I got to that point in my life where affordability was not an issue, I made sure that I had all these things. Now, I had friends and family members who thought it was crazy. How many cars can you drive? How many handbags can you carry? How many shoes can your feet actually, you know, utilize within any given period of time? And as I said, if you know me, you know. And if I sat within the silence of myself and I sat within, what was happening and I audit my activities, was I truly happy? Was I truly living the soft girl era? Was I truly not operating in survival mode to maintain these things? Absolutely not. I had to always be mindful that the insurance is due, the car note is due, or in most times, the handbags that I had were sitting there gathering dust, or in most cases, were becoming so old and out of style that I was thinking I just wasted money on this thing and I didn't even get 3 years of it. And that's a personal experience as I'm sharing. So if soft life, as social media has it, is the glamour and the glitter of having these things, yet still I was sitting in complete misery, trying to figure out, oh Lord, another year of insurance is due on these cars. Another shoes that I have not worn, and as I step out of the house, it fell apart because, of course, it dry rot, right? So for me, I want us to redefine what the soft life looks like. and for us to redefine and to change the narrative that is out there that the soft life is about the nails and all of these things. That I promise you, for most of us that are doing it, we're really not truly happy. We're just doing it. Sometimes we're doing it for the gram, right? What is more important and what soft life should really mean is exiting that survival mode that we constantly live in, where we're having times when we're sleeping peacefully, when we're paying our bills without panic, when we're not crying every week, when our relationships are not toxic, they're healthy, when we're eating without stress, when we're resting without guilt, when you're concerned about protecting your mental health and you're not living in constant chaos. That's the luxury that somebody who has spent years surviving really needs to dive deep into in order to really appreciate what the soft life and the soft era is about. Because for many of us, if you really audit yourself, you realize that peace isn't luxury or aesthetic, right? And getting emotionally deep into it, sometimes you finally reach that calm within your season that you can feel relaxed without any of these things. Because survival mode looks different for you, right? And that is one of the things that needs to change in terms of the expectation and the danger that we carry. Because for many of us, we start to overthink what peace looks like. We start to question what happiness looks like. And in many instances, we start to self sabotage what healthy situation should look like. And we go into that space where we're feeling uncomfortable when things should finally feel and look stable. So, not because you have the cars, the bags, the ability to, travel and have fine dining, doesn't mean that you're really experiencing your soft life. Because in many of those instances, you're still in survival mode, trying to address and take care of the things, the peripheral things that come with those activities. So, in closing, maybe as I said, the social media definition of a soft life needs to change to reflect something else. But certainly for a majority of us, we need to change the narrative as to what soft life should be. Because maybe your soft life has nothing to do with you impressing people or nothing to do with your acquiring of things, but maybe it's about emotional safety, mental stability, and having set healthy boundaries, freedom from chaos and constant stress. Because surviving all the time is exhausting, and even in the glamour and the glitter, if you're going through this exhaustion, it certainly cannot be soft. And if we're able to pivot that thought process, eventually many of us will reach a point where we stop taking or we stop asking for that excitement and we start to ask for true peace. So, if this topic resonated with you, I always ask share, like, comment. Welcome the comments, guys. I notice a lot of times your comments drive me to my next topic. So, thank you as always for sticking and for staying. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Be blessed.